I didn't see anything, you know.
We didn't demo
But
it either.
I thought it was already approved.
No, so
This is the site, you're gonna explain it more, right?
Yes.
How many times is this?
I
We
mean,
do have
should be.
letters. That's why I was telling the guy.
I hope so,
Couldn't
cause this
figure
is
out your
about
name,
the.
but he was pointing, and I said Amy, and so the guy does have letters, but he's gonna present them when he comes over.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Which is that the subdivision?
Don't make me lie. All I know is he said I got letters.
That's why I thought this was done.
I'll explain to it.
Okay, she said we're ready.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting of July 9th, 2025. We ask that everyone please silence all cell phones and electronics at this time. We're going to begin with a short prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father in heaven, we invite you to preside over this meeting. Give us unity of spirit even when our opinions differ. Help us to listen politely to other points of view and to remember that we are all a part of the same community. Direct our thoughts, words, decisions, and actions toward the right path in the best interest of our city. We ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first application tonight is Jackson, application for special exception to the zoning ordinance submitted by Lorenzo and Jessica Jackson. The applicant is requesting a special exception to allow an accessory dwelling on a lot exceeding 15,000 square feet. The property is located at 947 Old Spanish Trail, parcel 137K-2-36-009.000. Part fractional, section 36, the property zone R1 Single Family District. Is the applicant here tonight? Yes, sir. Can you come up and state your name and address and tell us a little bit more of the need for the
Well,
variance?
And I might do this for a few of them. Before the applicant says it, let me just go say, so this property, if y'all know which one it is, by Soup Street,
Yep.
and I put it in the letter, in 2015, there was a permit issued to build a back structure, which is now a house.
Right.
That's before I was here, before anybody in the building department was here. It should have went before planning and zoning in 2015, and this is previous owners from the Jacksons
Right.
to go ask for an accessory dwelling. It didn't. 2000, I think probably 3 years ago, they got another permit to do some more work to it. It never got the true approval because the building department then did not realize it never got the zoning improvement approval previously, which the building department issued the permit anyway. So what's going before now is if the Jacksons ever sell their house, and we come across this all the time, a bank's going to call us, our credit's going to call us, is do they have approval for having 2 dwellings on one piece of property? I would go pull the file and I would say, like, actually they don't, and it causes a huge mess. So I asked them, they came in to bring some construction plans sometime last year. I was like, hey, I can't let y'all do it because truth be told, it shouldn't be there. So right now, I asked them to bring in an application to ask for the special exception to have the accessory dwelling. So we fixed it. We're doing it right a decade later, plus so they can get a building permit for their house just in general. They're not going to be building another house. They're not even allowed to build another house. It's not zoned for that. What's there is what's going to be there. The most they could ever go build that's another accessory is just a actual shed, not even they can't even ask for a house.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he summed it up well
But
for
no,
you.
but I guess the problem is, I know one question was when the public notice went out, it seemed like they were going to get another accessory dwelling.
Right, and
I
that's
just did not know. I couldn't draw a picture and say this is actually what's only going to be there. So
yeah.
I know that was some of the questions with the neighbors.
Did anyone have any questions for Mr. Jackson?
No, I think Jeremy pretty much
Yeah,
summed it up.
and I didn't have anybody signed up to speak, but if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against the application, you're welcome to come up and do so. I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Brown, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Please be present at the next city council meeting. It's
Okay.
actually gonna be Thursday, the 24th at 5:30 PM in this room. Yes, sir. Yes, and they'll have the final, decision on all this. The next application is Bay St. Louis Homes and Properties LLC. Application for sketch plat approval for Phase 2B of Shieldsboro subdivision. Applicant is requesting to change the configuration of 3 parcels of land into 70 new parcels of land and 2 detention areas. The sketch plat has indicated that the proposed subdivision will comply with the special use district standards, which allow for single-family dwellings on parcels with a minimum lot width of 70 feet, a front yard setback of 15 feet, side yard setbacks of 5 feet, rear yard setback of 10 feet, and a maximum lot coverage of 65%. The property in question is located in the general area of the Shieldsboro subdivision, which lies along Old Spanish Trail between St. Charles Street and Spanish Acres Drive. Parcel 137R-044-051.000, Part 203, 4th Ward, Bay St. Louis, 79 AA 38-63/66, Parcel 137R-0-44-050.000, Part 196, 4th Ward, Bay St. Louis, Parcel 137R-0-44-049.000, Part 166, 167, and 195, 4th Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property lies in an R2 two-family district and an R3 multifamily district with a special use district overlay.
All right, before, I don't want to go
The
interrupt
background.
our professional one, but the history on this, and Mr. Clark asked me, in November,
Of 2020.
October of 2020 came before Planning and Zoning Commission, which you were still on, but
Yep.
November of 2020, after probably 3 renderings, there was a 144 lot development called Shieldsboro Phase 2A, 2B, and 2C presented with a special use district that's going to have 70-foot lots that are 60% lot coverage and spells out the setbacks. They're all going to be single-family houses. When I got here, they were in the middle of doing it.
Yep.
Over the last 5 years, they opened up Shieldsboro Phase 2A, but never finished the recs. Well, I think a year and a half, 2 years ago, we adopted new planning and zoning subdivision regulations, which means they have to come back before here to meet our new regulations, which doesn't change the whole plat, but during this planning process, there's some more stuff that, more hoops they're gonna have to go through, but the answer that Clark asked earlier, didn't we already approve this? Y'all already approved what these looked like 5 years ago.
Right.
It has to come back before y'all
Okay.
because the process kind of has to start back over, but planning and zoning and city council approved what these 70 lots looked like 5 years ago.
And what would be some of the additional requirements? Trees?
So they're gonna have to have sidewalks in this phase, and it used to be our subdivision regulations were from I think the 70s, which, truth be, the stormwater requirement was a little bit different. Like it might have been 2010 year stormwater management. That's no longer. I think it's 25 and 100-year storms, and then also it used to be that if you have a engineering stamp that says, hey, these plans work, they can just start constructing it. Now, Bay St. Louis requires the developer to get a stamped professional to say, hey, these are my water, utilities, everything. And then we review it ourselves with our own engineers. How, for 50 years, did Bay St. Louis not require, like, have a second? I don't know, but now they're going to be subject to that also.
It's also extension of gas utility.
Oh, yes. The last phase, though they put in this most recent phase, we never required natural gas lines. Now you have to have water, sewer, and gas installed in any subdivision. So it's going to be a better product than before even.
So this could be the last phase then, huh?
Yes.
But God can make some more dirt.
Yep.
So, if I might, so this, it actually ended up being reduced down to 114 lots to begin with back in 2020. It started off at 140, but we changed it The first phase, which we're gonna call A of, 2, is 37 lots, and that's basically been built out, and we pretty much have them all done except for about 5 of those lots. The next phase, which is what's before you tonight, we were taking B and C phase and converting it to just B only, and that's gonna be 70 lots. There were some minor adjustments we did to the lot lines to protect the live oak trees, to hopefully avoid requests for future variances. But other than that, it's pretty much as it was before. We won't be seeking any variances of any type that I'm aware of, Bobby, is that right? And basically, it's as straightforward as that. As Jeremy pointed out, all this was approved both by the planning commission and by the city council back in 2020 in this same configuration, basically. So, I can go on and on, but I think I'll answer any questions if you have any.
So, and then just to go say, if this passes, sketch plat passes planning, city council, then they'd start doing more engineering work. So if somehow this configuration doesn't work with drainage or whatever else, they're gonna come back before you and say, hey, we're gonna have to do something with the lots, but the hard work starts after this for them.
That's right. This is conceptual design, what it amounts to begin with, sketch plan. Any questions?
Because I knew this one here had the detention ponds on it, whereas we didn't on the other one, so. Well, we did have them, but.
Right. Do you want to show him, Bobby? Get up closer where you can see.
Well, we have,
We have.
yeah.
We do have big.
And
Oh,
to,
now we don't have what you got in the back there now.
and to save,
It's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes.
But yes, those will be engineered so that they contain the right amount of water and get into the engineering part of it.
And I saw you already had the wetlands delineation too.
That's right. Just so I'm clear, Jeremy, all these documents, your staff report, the application, the previous documentation from 2020, all that'll be part of the record.
yes,
Council. Thank you.
It's almost, it's in our packet, all of it,
Yeah, we have
so.
all that too.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Reiterate that we will abide by the current subdivision regulations. Anything that's required by the city will incorporate it into our plan.
And I don't think we have to worry about it, because usually you got 20, 30 neighbors riding by checking on you. Because we get phone calls.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
Anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? I don't know if anyone signed up.
I don't think so.
No,
No.
we haven't received
I
anything.
didn't get any letters. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept it as is.
A motion by Mr. Breland. Is there a second?
Aye.
A second by Ms. Brown. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. It's
Thursday.
Thursday, the 24th. I'm gonna keep saying Tuesday, 5:30 PM.
Thank y'all.
Our next application is Smith, application for variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Dawn Smith. The applicant is wanting to reconfigure 2 parcels of land. Both parcels will not meet the required lot area and one will not meet the required lot width. Parcel 1 will need a variance of 2,000 square feet, resulting in 10,000 square feet to the minimum lot area, and a variance of 25 feet, resulting in a total of 75 feet to the minimum lot width. Parcel 2 will need a variance of 4,500 square feet, resulting in 7,500 square feet to the minimum lot area, and a variance of 25 feet, resulting in a total of 75 feet to the minimum lot width. The property is located at 415 Thomas Street, parcel 144M-0-19-247.000, part 101, First Ward, Bay St. Louis, parcel 144M-0-19-248.000, 101F, First Ward, PSL. The property is zoned R1 Single Family District. The applicant's here tonight. Would you come up and state your name and address, and then tell us a little bit more about the request for the variance?
Ron Smith, 415 St. Louis.
Rodney Lacoste, 415 Thomas. I also have a couple of letters here from neighbors.
Okay, can I read these into the letter, into the record? Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I'll just say ditto and read their names. Are their address, yep, their addresses are on here. Dear members of the Planning Commission, I am writing to express my support for the proposed reconfiguration of lots by my neighbors, Rodney Lacoste and Dawn Smith at 415 Thomas Street, Basic Lewis, Mississippi. As a nearby neighbor at 414 Thomas Street, I have reviewed the plans and understand that the reconfiguration is intended to accommodate the construction of a swimming pool on their property. I have no objections to the proposed changes and believe that the improvements will be a positive addition to the neighborhood. The project does not interfere with my property, privacy, or access, and I support my neighbors' efforts to enhance the use and enjoyment of their home. Please feel free to contact me if any additional information is needed. Thank you for your consideration. And that's Esther L. Greenbaum, and then the other ditto letter is from Sharon and Terry Horan, and they're at 418 Thomas Street. So, I mean, we've got you don't have an official survey,
No,
but more or less.
yes.
We're
So
gonna be
what we're
at,
trying to do is, the primary lot right now is just a 50-foot lot. So, I mean, we're right on our lot line.
so you're
with
actually
everything
making
right.
your primary lot
Right,
bigger.
we're making
Yes.
the primary lot better.
That's how I understood
Is
it.
the main purpose of the whole thing. She argues with me all day long that we don't want to just combine them. I said, well, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So, you know, with finance, if something were to happen to you.
And it's also more importantly, I know everybody doesn't have the plat of the neighborhood in front of them, but probably 90% of the lots on that street are 50 feet.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's
50 and 75, and that's why we figured
yeah.
we'd make it like we did, improve the house.
So it is more in keeping with the neighborhood than what's actually currently there. Any questions from the commissioners? Was there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept the applicant's application.
A motion to accept by Mr. Breland. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Please be present at the next city council meeting Thursday, July 24th at 5:30 p.m. and it'll be in this room as well.
Sounds great. Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
You're doing a great job.
You too.
Okay, next is Rust Enterprises, application for major site plan review for a recreational vehicle park submitted by Rust Enterprises. The property is in question is located at 10160 Chapman Road and is identified on the Hancock County Land Rolls as parcel number 138H-0-46-028.000. Legal description, part Gaddon Toomey claim, part Southeast 1/4 section 27-8S-14 West. The property is special use district. Yes, sir.
All right, I'm Nick Gant, Brown Mitchell and Alexander, 131 Rue Magnolia in Biloxi. Engineer agent on behalf of the owner, Chandler Rust. A couple, months ago, we came before you guys and got a special use district permit for this recreational vehicle park. Now we're, moving on to the next step, which is major site plan review. So we've submitted, plans to the city for review, and that's what you have before you. We're looking at 200 RV pads with 300 parking spaces. Some of those will be on the individual pads. Some will be coupled around the amenity area at the front in the entrance. The way this will be set up is, all the roadways are existing. We'll make improvements to those. So the roadways, water, sewer, and drainage that exist inside this parcel will remain private to the owner. The only thing that we will do is there's an existing ditch on the south side of the parcel that drains from east to west that the city currently maintains, Public Works does, but there's no easement over the property. We will give an easement to the city so that they can, properly continue to maintain that ditch. And that's really all I wanted to say. I'll here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
We done had this one too. So.
And then anyone in the audience is welcome to comment. I mean, we're not really debating. We're just as much as reviewing and making sure we covered everything.
So one addition that we asked him that they're going above and beyond is 6-foot fence is what you want blocking. We asked them to put an 8-foot, basically wood fence, more privacy fence along the road that faces the soccer field. Like, like buffering everything, but kind of even buffer it. They would probably enjoy it more. Plus, I think as parents, we'd probably prefer it more that way too.
Yeah.
So they don't go run out. And then, just some of the other stuff that I realized, it still has, this is 15 acres, 20 acres, so it has to go to MDEQ for a large site permit.
Large construction notice of intent.
They-
yes,
so-
permit.
Let's say that's 90 days approval, nothing based St. Louis, they submit it to make sure, nothing's gonna go upstream, but before, no work's gonna be done on this until we get that true construction documents, and we're gonna double check to make sure every drainage outlet that it's gonna be draining into, because it's such a large site, is graded correctly and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, this approval, I'm not getting city council approval and then, turning up dirt the next day. This is
Right.
still, we've still got some things to do and figure out. We're just here to make sure, hey, our configuration looks good, we're meeting all the ordinances as intended that the city has set up and not missing anything before we really get into everything. But yeah, we're, as Jeremy said, we're, probably at least 90, 120 days out from anybody seeing any appreciable work in that.
I didn't see anything on my end reviewing it.
No phone
If
calls.
there's nothing, no. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Breland. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Please be present for the city council meeting, July 24th.
All right, thank you.
5:30 PM. Thank you. Next agenda item is Maseki Gunning. It's application for variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Philip Maseki and Candace Gunning. The applicants are wanting to construct a new residence on the property. They are requesting a variance of 17 foot 4 inches, resulting in a 7 foot 8 inch setback to the front yard, and a variance of 6 foot 1 inch, resulting in a 13 foot 11 inch setback to the rear yard. The property is located at 401 South Nicaise Avenue, parcel 149-1-260.000, 260A, Second Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property is zoned R1 Single Family District.
All right, so Mr. Phillips up here, they came here to get a permit. This is more pervert zoning. You have a year to activate the permit, being their builder wasn't, whatever, they dropped off plans 14 months ago,
A year and a half.
year and a half ago. The
Makes
variance
sense.
just expired, like it expired. So building official said, Jeremy, you need to go back and get the variance. So it is the exact same house y'all approved in, I don't know what it is, May?
2023, it says October.
October 2023, it went through historical. They are teed up, ready to go.
Okay.
And unfortunately, they had to wait 45 more days.
Bless y'all.
I mean, I felt bad.
It's all right.
You should.
You gotta read the fine print again.
As you should.
He doesn't have any black eyes.
It
so-
didn't cost you anything for the second one, right? It didn't cost you anything for this one.
Cost me $250.
Yeah, you gotta submit again when it expires.
I'm sorry.
And I hope I can
Yeah.
Rub salt in
use
that
my
one.
half of what I paid for the building permit the first time. I hope they'll honor that. I don't have to pay.
All right. Hopefully we get it done this time.
I didn't have any questions because I'd seen it before.
Yep.
Um,
We already discussed
y'all
it.
The only calls I got were people that says, why do they have to go back before?
a
I'm
complaint
just
to
like, they
get
were
it again.
angry for them.
Right.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against? I'll entertain a motion.
Let's go ahead and approve it. Motion approved.
Motion by Ms. Brown, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Please be present at City Council meeting July 24th, and hopefully you'll be ready to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
good luck.
I was told it was the 22nd though. They could move it to the 24th?
They moved it, last night they moved it because there's a
I was
conference.
gonna wait
stuff.
another.
Okay, but that's fine. I just,
They had some
Plan
kind of
on the 22nd.
conference, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is the 24th. It's a Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Corbett Nico LLC, application for a variance to the parking requirements of the zoning ordinance submitted by Corbett Nico LLC. The applicant intends to construct a 4-unit boutique hotel. The zoning ordinance requires a minimum of 4 off-street parking spaces to accommodate the 4 sleeping rooms in the hotel. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow for no required on-premise parking, resulting in a variance of 4 parking spaces. The property is located at 105 North Beach Boulevard, identified on the Hancock County land rolls as parcel number 149L-0-29-035.000. Legal description 510 First Ward, Bay St. Louis, and parcel number 149L-0-29-036.000. Legal description part 512 First Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property is zoned C1 Central Business District.
And just for a note, this is for the variance. the next item is the site plan that doesn't have the parking spots, so.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So we went, in front of y'all, I believe, 3 or 4 months ago.
Probably December, I think.
December.
Yeah.
Yeah, December of last year, and basically, originally, we were gonna do parking underneath the hotel, and at the hotel above it, and talking with the city would lose 3 parallel parking spaces.
So in the letter, I don't know if y'all said it, just go do it. They submitted a site plan. We just kind of unsolicited the county, because Conroe County Road, and say, if you have 4 parking spots here, I think there's 3 in front of them, but because of sight lines, they couldn't figure, but it's either gonna be 6 or 7 on Beach Boulevard that would be lost if they used it.
And so, in talking through that, we basically said, what's the better option to do that? And the goal was to go ahead and do parking off-site at Toro, which is that is 560 feet away from the parking lot, and the current parking situation is 400 feet.
Yeah.
The current ordinance says you can be within 400 feet of the areas. We're 150 feet outside of the required area for parking. And so our goal was to come back to y'all and see if we could do that, and then go ahead and do a commercial space on the exterior, which probably would be better use of the space, in my opinion. Obviously, y'all would decide that, and then also to hope to generate more sales tax for the city by doing that.
So like, okay, just go. Each sleeping room needs 4.
Right.
And just so, not just people here, so if anybody's watching, a restaurant doesn't require any, retail doesn't, hotels, condos, and residential in this zoning district required parking. They needed 4. Part of our zoning ordinance, it's 400 feet. You can have an alternative. Well, they don't have a 400-foot alternative, so they're requesting no parking on site. Now, they do lease the lot right next door to Toro, where their actual parking lot is for Toro, which is just north of 600 feet. So that's what they're offering in return. Unfortunately, like our zoning says 400 foot. So at the end of the day, they're asking for no on-site parking.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
your parking is behind Rags, right?
No, ma'am. It's well, yes, it is a high Rags, but it's 2 buildings. So it'd be Rags, empty lot, Toro, empty lot,
Okay, so
and we're gonna dedicate 4 of those spaces to the hotel.
okay,
So it's between
So-
Toro and the candy shop.
but
Yeah.
so
Okay.
how many parking spots are already there at your?
We have 12. I think I want to say it's somewhere between 10 and 12 currently there.
Okay.
And that restaurant does not require any parking at all. We just
Right.
we just put it there because we thought we could have parking.
I'm just like thinking. So like, what's the alternative if like the restaurant's super busy, all those lots, like I understand that
Yeah.
those are 4 dedicated spots, but it's already congestion.
in the area. No,
Yeah.
I mean I agree. I mean I think whether in my view we're allowed to put a restaurant there
Right.
at,
No.
no, at the 105 North Beach currently, right? And so
Right, and you don't have to have parking, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying. Okay.
I don't not like the idea. It's just the safety aspect of, we see it with the hotel already.
yeah.
An unloading zone, like
Right.
not having
Yeah.
any unloading zone, it gets so congested. And then I'm worried about your handicap people, because I see you went ahead and put in an elevator, which is great, because some people would try to work around
Yeah.
that. But then where do we drop them off at if,
No, and I guess from our standpoint, I guess I mean, so if we put a hotel there and didn't and just went ahead with the full plan, we would parked underneath it, and I guess there'd be less parking spots for the downtown area.
right, and it sounds like you wouldn't be able to, reserve the spots, and, they're always full right there, so there's no way to load and unload. Just the practicality of coming with suitcases,
Right.
much less being in a wheelchair, is what I'm really concerned about.
So I guess do you think it'd be better to have the original plan at the 4th space underneath?
Well, I'm worried about you having enough. It just might not be a feasible thing, because how are you gonna you'd have to redesign the building, because how are you gonna have enough room to back out and be able to look you know, you still would lose at least one, even if it was just for one car to unload, like a temporary unloading zone to drive under, you still would lose a city space. But then also, like, would you be able to back out and look behind you and see in the road, have enough clearance to, you get what I'm saying? Because it's so close to the road, there's probably wouldn't be enough room to unload.
But y'all already approved the original, correct?
Well, it was a major site, it was a
My-
major site plan one, so it never went before city council. So this one's less than 5,000 square foot. So technically, it's a minor site plan.
So was
But
it
we're not doing the site plan right now, we're
No,
on
that's
the.
for number 7.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I think for our standpoint, whatever the planning commission council wants to do, I think we're willing to do whatever y'all think best. I think we're just trying to be a good partner with everything that y'all require. But there,
So the original, just so I can understand, the original proposal for the 4, you know, the parking underneath, what did we say about that?
So, and it might have been somewhat, but there's probably more than 4. They redesigned it for sleeping room wise.
Yeah.
So now they have 4 sleeping rooms, not
yeah,
a I don't remember what it was, a
Yeah,
penthouse that had 2,
two bedrooms.
whatever. So,
Now it's 4 actual units.
but
But we still had issues with parking still, right? Kind of.
Well, they were gonna park underneath.
the issue there was
No.
because it was never addressed. Is you have parking underneath? That question was going to be is the access to it because they have 3 parallel parking spots in front of it.
In front of the
And
in
then-
front of the units.
And I'll tell you, when it comes to MDOT guidelines and stuff, I know nothing. I have to go at. We have to ask somebody much more smarter than me, and per MDOT requirements, which just trying to use them is if you're backing in, you're not really supposed to back into a major thoroughfare.
Yeah.
So that's not just Highway 90. I guess it's highway. I mean, it would be Beach Boulevard too.
Is there any way to get like a minimum of 1 spot in with being able to like maintain view? If they were to like shorten it some, it still would be up to MDOT.
Well, no, it'd be up to, I guess. I'll be honest. I don't.
We just
I
know
do-
what's
I
gonna,
don't-
we
I
know
don't-
what's gonna happen. We
Yeah,
just
I don't
know
know
that-
the answer of who gives up. You're going to be removing a parking spot to add it on there. You're going to be cutting a curve. Like I don't know personally. I do not know who gives that permission. Is it administration? Is it Public Works Director? Is it
Right.
MDOT or is it the county, City of Bay St. Louis?
I think
Ultimately, it'd be a net loss of spaces and full.
Yeah, but I'm
lose
just
more
thinking,
space than
I'm
that.
thinking about getting y'all through city council with,
Oh, so you would say is
a feasibility.
because
I think the
one thing that's
compromise, I'm saying if we don't pass here or we don't pass through city council, the compromise would be finding a way to do some kind of loading unloading zone.
So one
a
thing that's
minimum.
allowed I think we've done this before recently, is if you ask for, generally it's a side yard, but if you're asked for 4 parking lot variants, but you say, you know what, we're only going to give you 1, we're going to require you to have 2. It's public notice was sent out, so anybody who's against all the parking will be here anywhere. Now, if it's less, nobody more is going to probably come. So if you're asking for a 4-spot parking variance and you only agreed, you can't give a 6th one, but you can give a 1 one. So you have 1 parking spot on there and 3 variants. 3
Right. but
3
I'm
car
saying,
variants,
Yeah, even
spot
if it's
variants.
not tonight or this month, like if they did get denied, like with,
No, but if y'all say, hey, no,
Right.
we want all 4 on there. If somebody says, hey, I want at least 1 on there, somebody can make a motion that says, I approve, however you say it. Required to have
but
1.
it's pretty hard to do without all the.
With the plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they may not be able
Well,
to sacrifice their
Well,
extra
the
rent.
thing would be the site plan would be mute because the
Yeah.
site plan doesn't reflect the, well, I understand.
Did we have any letters of support or opposition?
I
Was
did not receive any.
there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against?
I would.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
You-
here on
would you-
behalf of my boss.
Can you come up to the podium? We're being live streamed. Can you state your name and address for us? And then,
My name is Barbara Petway, and I manage a business at 111 Main Street. Caracas Bar. My boss asked me to come on his behalf. He, built the Pearl Hotel. He does have a parking spot for every room. I have 12 spots in my parking lot for the bar, which is very small. And I'm constantly, it's a full-time job. We have to pay somebody now
chasing
to
people
stand
out.
out there and chase them out.
Right.
Majority of them are going to the restaurants, to the other bars. There's no parking down there. 4 spots doesn't sound like a lot, but it is.
Right.
You know, I have 12 spots. It's, when we go to work to open up, they're full.
Mhm.
And I've never had any cars towed out of there. I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna cost somebody money.
Right.
But it's a constant battle.
Yeah.
If you have people on vacation staying in a hotel, they're probably gonna get a golf cart, cause they can rent them anywhere. So they're gonna need somewhere to park the golf cart, you know, so do it times 2.
Right.
I think no one's already, downtown's already
It's
congested.
just
and
really a parking problem down there.
Yeah,
It
and
really is. It's sad, but.
I do worry about the safety of it, you know, being able to get to
And-
people in sleeping units and stuff. You can't even really pull on the road
Right.
when it's that
And
congested.
people don't, for
We
some
struggle with the
reason, know that
hotel.
garage is over there. You know, tourists don't. When people come out of town, a lot of
Well,
local
yeah.
people don't know
Yeah.
it's over there.
Yeah, and they don't know where they're going either.
Mhm.
So wayfinding would be difficult just to get instructions to walk down from Court Street, you know, to here
Right.
if you're not familiar with the area.
Mhm.
I just foresee some problems in the future.
And that's
Okay.
it.
Yeah, you wanna come up and speak, Mom?
Mathematically speaking, we're not eliminating any parking, right? So we're not getting rid of the 3 out in front of the building, we're actually adding 4 at Toro. It's not like they're gonna be out there at random trying to figure out where parking is, there's gonna be specific instructions on where to park, the entry, as far as the loading and unloading, they can walk.
Right, but
from there.
yeah, but you see where we're getting at, the congestion aspect of, like, you're trying to unload your luggage, it's pouring down rain, or they get to
Right.
Toro, and those 4 spots are full, and there's nowhere for them to park them, where do they go?
But the 4 spots at Toro won't be full.
They'll
because
be
it's-
reserved
It's
just
for them.
specifically
It's
for them.
specifically reserved for them.
But it's
So-
still a great distance
So
to
you're
travel.
suggesting they go to Turo, pick up their bags and walk over to the new unit?
Yes, they
So
park
what-
at
And
What
then-
we're saying
Toro.
is,
Well-
what about sign created, and Ms. Barber, you wanna say, should they have a pole at the Hotel Earl? Well, if we need to put a pole right there, and for my guests at Toro, they can have the code to get in for hotel parking, and then they won't ever be full.
So we're assuming, because it is an assumption, we're assuming that these out-of-towners are going to know that they have to park at a restaurant, walk all the way over, park at a restaurant for this hotel.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give
Even
them,
though that they have signs, and you know, my thing of it is, we've all used Airbnbs, we've all used rentals, and they might have instructions of this is where you know, go and whatnot, but it's still gonna be an issue of unloading. It's still gonna be an issue of trying to find closer parking. And so even though y'all have these dedicated spots, we're still gonna lose some spots somehow, some way, because people are gonna try to find closer parking. I mean, if I had a handicapped person or an elderly person, I'm gonna park as close to this hotel as possible.
there is an unloading zone right across the street.
Okay, but that's still kind of falling back to, are you talking about Pearls?
That's not Pearls, anybody.
Well, but my thing of it
State
is, we have an issue there too. That still ties into the congestion.
I have a restaurant right across the street.
But yeah, I know who you are, so I mean, but it still ties into the congestion issue. And so, you know, we're adding this property here. It's not making the situation better, in my opinion.
We're just trying to learn from our mistakes a little bit to make sure we don't make the same mistakes that, you know, you hear these complaints. I mean, I know it's kind of like, well, they were there first, but we are addressing these issues. And if we have a chance to do it right, it hasn't been constructed, let's do it right. You know, let's
Right.
find a way that everybody's agreeable with.
That's when the city came to us and said that we're gonna lose 4 spots. We thought we were doing better for the city by advising, I don't wanna give parking up at a restaurant that's the only
Right.
parking around.
I just don't really feasibly see someone who's in a wheelchair parking at, they're gonna stop in the road and they're gonna drop them off, even if it's on that unloading zone, you know, realistically.
And I understand that.
You know, or with a lot of baggage, if you're staying a long time, they're really not, you know, you tell people to do the right thing, but
Right.
as, you know, she said, they're gonna still park at Caracas, you know, and walk because that space is open, no matter if there's a sign up there or not.
Closer. Right.
Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from, but understand where we're coming from too. You know, we've been sitting here for 2-3 years now since everything's been constructed about hearing the congestion every single month and the property, and it's a safety factor
Right.
too, to me.
I
You
think,
couldn't be able, I mean, it's a when you can't even get down Main Street or Beach Boulevard sometimes on a Friday or Saturday night, you know, what if there's an emergency? It's just addressing some of that congestion issue and also making it a little more pleasant for your guests to, you know, not have to walk.
So
what
what if-
city block?
What if the parking was 400 feet though, that the same arguments would not apply, right? I mean, I see what you're saying, but
Yeah,
say we take away the 600, put it at 400, you still have
but
the
it's
same,
not,
but
if it
it's
was in front of
allowed.
Hancock Bank, I mean, I would see that as less of an issue, you know?
Right, but 400 all the way around, right? I mean, that still puts you
So
pretty close to the same
I guess the
area.
question we have, so you're saying you're okay with it being under the building if we can make it where they can turn around and get out?
Yes, I would be
Yes.
okay with that. I'd feel better about
So I mean,
that.
I think we can do that, I just think, but then.
I mean,
and
aesthetically,
safety
is it the best? No, but for
Yeah,
safety and someone
aesthetically-
physically staying there, yeah.
I mean, I think we can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
To us, you're gonna, when you do that, you're gonna lose the whole commercial area, and you're gonna have people crossing over a sidewalk in the middle of the area.
So the next question would be, I mean, are we even allowed to do that with the county, you know, losing those
Well,
spots?
I don't think the city can say we can't have access to our property. No, I don't think that's allowed.
Right,
No, it-
yeah,
it-
but if you were able to make a parking lot work and safely get in and out, right,
Yeah, so I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think so I think we have to have access to our property,
right, so minimum lose.
to their property. And so I
Well,
mean,
the same difference is you got a shell lot down the way that crosses the sidewalk too.
Right,
right.
So I mean, I think for, I guess, I think they're okay doing whatever you tell them to do. I think that the difference is, I guess, you're gonna have a hotel with then nothing on the bottom floor, it'll just be parking on there. Then there is room for them to turn around if they do that and we eliminate the whole commercial space on the downstairs area. Then you're gonna kind of have, I guess, you're gonna walk through and not have anything down, which is, if that's what the best idea, then I think we're okay doing that. I think they're okay doing it.
And we already had one last year, remember? No on-site parking, and we didn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, but
that was a whole nother
that
story.
was a whole nother story, but it was rough.
Or if we build a bar or a restaurant, there is on-site parking.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, we're trying to do what we can here to
Yeah,
help.
but people,
and-
they're sleeping here, they're not just coming to eat and leave, you know, it's a little bit different.
So I guess, at this point in time, it would be, I guess, going back to the original site plan and then losing the parking space.
You'd have to cut the curb anyway, right?
Yeah, they got, yes, and like I said, you can't stop them from going to the property. They gotta have egress and egress, I mean, they have to.
Well, I mean, that would still have to be, that site plan would have to be resubmitted, right?
yeah, but, and then, when you're talking about cutting curbs and everything else, like, that would be,
You're right.
city
so-
engineer and a public works question.
Right.
It's been submitted.
But I think it would have to be
It's already been
resubmitted.
approved, actually.
But,
The first one was, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
right,
So why would we have to?
Let's just go talk about this one that's on hand right now. How about that?
okay.
Yeah, because you've already got one that's approved.
Yeah, so the one, we already have one that's approved for the downstairs, so I think we're okay doing that. Our goal was to work, that we talked about it, and we thought they were gonna lose 3 spots to gain 4 spots, and talking with people we didn't.
Let me
Well,
ask
I mean,
Jeremy
if
a
it's
question. Let me
approved,
ask
then
Jeremy
do
a question. So would it be better for them to pull this one and go with their original?
Well, let's say, currently what we're talking about is, no, and I guess as I preferenced before, the site plan that's number 7 has no parking spots on it. So like, let's say just theoretically, somebody says it gets voted no parking, this parking variance as presented is not. Obviously, it'd be a kind of a moot point of parking variance because what's reflected in 7 isn't even allowed. So that's just my talking through it now. I know there was discussion. It seemed like somewhere tending away that, hey, if you don't have 4, that's great, but give me 2, whatever it was. Obviously, coming back with a different site plan is still going to need to be do, but reflect whatever the parking requirements going to be there now. And we're talking about use because currently it's a hotel, only a hotel. I think it's been discussed from day one. Like it's never going to be a condo, never going to be a townhouse, not even allowed to be. But as they said, if it's any other use, if it's just commercial spot throughout, they don't have to have a single parking spot.
I guess in downtown Gulfport, we had a similar issue where we had a building and it was originally a restaurant, and it was on the corner of 27th Avenue and 13th Street, and we went from being a restaurant to being a liquor store and a hotel downstairs, and we had to talk to the city council, and we went through the whole process, and I know it's totally different cities, totally different rules, the things. But they did a traffic analysis based on hotel and liquor store versus restaurant. They found that it was like 1/4 of the traffic. We were going to go into liquor store and hotel and go restaurant. That being fast because we don't mind doing traffic analysis. It's all based on those two portions of it. But,
And then I guess at the end of the day, I'm just surprised Clark's normally the one who says it, is we're just a recommendation body.
I always say that, and I was gonna say it
I know,
too.
but I'm trying
I
to
mean,
get the
if we-
wheels turning here, just so it's not straight denial down the road, like we're talking it through. That,
Yeah.
It
you
is my
know,
favorite
so it
saying.
makes something happen. Did y'all explore any idea of like would it be the county with that in charge of those parking spaces in front? You don't mind?
I don't think.
Like, would
the
would they, since you'd have to curb cut one regardless, would they be open to the possibility of those two being designated loading and unloading zones?
we did not. What?
That might be kind of a New Orleans style
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, I think if we definitely don't mind doing that. I think we're willing to do whatever we need to do to do what we think is the best value.
Or even the
for our-
3, or, I mean, I think a minimum of 2, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But we're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to be able to load and unload somewhere either on site or right in close proximity.
I think if y'all have any recommendations for us, we would love to take your recommendations to the county and say we went
That would be mine,
in front of
because you
y'all.
can tell them we're gonna lose a spot regardless.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, because we gotta get garbage in and out of here too.
100%.
So-
Any recommendations y'all give us, we absolutely would take the county and go through the proper channels.
Do y'all have any other questions?
I think we'd be, I mean, like I said, that was just.
Because your recommendation would eliminate some of the issue.
I think it's very good idea.
Would just be eliminating some of my safety concerns about it.
But I still don't like the parking at Toro.
So I think what she's saying is the parking right there in front.
Yeah, so.
Or at least to unload and unload, and then go, if you have someone handicapped, let them off, and then you go park at Toro, and you can walk the rest of the way,
Yeah, I mean, I think,
At least like one handicap parking or something like that.
But Jordan, good luck managing that, man. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to be standing out in the street all day long.
so in front of the, yeah, I think the only way to do it would be to probably fence it in and have some type of garage door type system that slide opens up kind of deal, or gate system opens up.
You're talking about in the street.
Leave it open.
You just be signs that, I mean, you have to do it New Orleans style, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean,
That would be a lot.
Like taking those
Yeah.
parallel spaces, because you're gonna take at least one of them
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
getting
gonna be
garbage in and out.
interesting to see how that.
Yeah.
But I will say, people do use that loading unloading space in Pearl. I actually was surprised when I first did that. I didn't-
There's actually not enough loading and unloading
Yeah.
space for the Pearl. Hindsight's 2020. There should have been something on site where they could load and unload, because it's dangerous, because people can't see, and then they're coming both directions, and someone's unloading here, and so they're walking out in front of cars trying to grab their suitcase.
Well, the only positive about this
And I'm
is
trying to
that
avoid that on the main.
we do have three
road.
parking, three stop signs right there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
can I tell you how many times I've already, they're drinking and they're looking back and they're just walking.
Amp will be on the south side.
Yeah.
Well, that is, if the county's gonna lose those spaces anyways, that actually makes sense to them to.
If
Maybe you
they're,
can
if they're
negotiate
open to
'em,
that,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
you could-
I
they-
just don't
instead of
feel
lose
comfortable
4.
as it is an all or nothing thing. There needs to be something worked out ahead of time. Like, let's think, since we have the opportunity, let's think through everything before
Make
we
them
go.
And it's the county that owns the spaces, not the city?
I don't know, that's above my.
I don't think the city, I think it's always been county, the front. Well, I know the beach is county.
I think that sometimes it's discussion among the two, but I don't want to say yes or no.
There's probably an argument over it, Miles. That's what I'll tell you, Jordan,
Yeah.
Miles. There's probably an argument over that, so.
We'd be approving
it would make, it would make better.
Yeah, so I think so. I think from here, I guess you whatever recommendation is. So I think for our standpoint, we'll go talk to the county, see if they have any interest in doing what was asked.
I mean, you still go in front of city council.
Yeah.
I'd get their opinion on it too. I'm just trying to give you an out in case, get two denials.
Yeah.
Not starting from scratch. Get a little bit of feedback from everybody first.
And like I said, my favorite saying is, and it's happened to us, we'll approve you, or we will, if we deny you, I've seen it pass. All we're doing is just recommending to them what we think is best.
No, and obviously we have your approval through that. Well, on the last one, I guess we can talk to that later. Okay.
Yeah.
So is it better for us just to withdraw this, you think, or?
Go. I think Amy's suggestion was the best
Yeah.
to get your feedback.
But for the purpose of this,
No, definitely don't.
Yeah.
I would say vote on something.
Vote on something so they can move forward to city council.
No,
No, because you'd be coming back with a
No,
different
so
plan. You not have to wait 6 months.
This agenda item is going to the Bay St. Louis City Council regardless.
No
All
matter
it's
what.
doing is it's going to go with a recommendation. Their recommendation body, planning and zoning, is the one that they could all say yes and they all say no, it's a no. They can all say no, city council all say yes, it's a yes.
Yeah.
City council.
Yeah, they can overturn.
So
or,
you can, you
you know,
still,
what-
no matter what,
how
if we
vote.
say we deny it because of the parking spots, you go next week and it could change. That's what I'm saying. Probably will. I don't know.
All right.
I guess, is there any way to go back to our original plan and just have, and have that one portion approved versus doing this portion?
Well, because that's not what was advertised for this meeting. We have
That's
to
the-
go back and re-advertise.
Yeah, let's say this is the public notice.
Yeah.
Like this.
So then we don't need to find out.
So I think, does this, so the other one was already approved, does this go ahead and get rid of that other one?
No, not if the other one was approved, no.
Okay. That's it.
We could put that one on the city council.
Well, we still need a,
What Mr. What's on the line on there is what's going before the city council.
Right.
yeah.
And
but
currently what's going before is being voted on.
We're just voting on this one right here. That's all we're voting on,
That's
this
why
one.
I asked him before, does it have to be resubmitted? Because it would have to go through again. When I asked her. Yes, that's why I was
But the
saying.
previous version was already approved though.
Yeah, but when you were talking about the revised one, you know what I was talking about. I asked him, and then I said it would have to go through again. And then he asked about how long it would be. The original one that you're talking about that y'all want, that one's approved. But if y'all did some revisions, like Amy was talking about, that would
It's
have to
not.
get resubmitted.
That's not approved.
Yeah,
So we need to vote on
this.
this one here.
Yeah. So
And it's bet on this one here, like I said,
this
you got,
has nothing to do with the site plan yet. This
Nope.
is just strictly on what we're voting on is yay or nay
on the parking.
to zero on-site parking.
That's what we're, that's
That's
all.
what-
The plan, this right here, just on the park.
Right. I think if there's no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to deny.
Is there a second?
second.
Second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so the application has failed, but you're still gonna go to the city council meeting on July 24th, on that Thursday in this room, and they'll have the final say on the application.
And you'll still present this right here.
Yes.
This one here, the 4 parking spots. And then the other one, you still have the other one, so, which is good.
So maybe a motion, well, we can't take, well,
You don't-
on the
so
site plan review, we can't.
If you want to make a motion, but you have to give a reason, go say reason because there's no
Uh,
parking on the site.
So I'd like to make a motion to table agenda item number 8
Yes.
because the previous application failed and there's no parking allowed on site.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Breland. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Ms. Boothroyd, can you make sure you denote in the minutes that it was denied because no parking is on site and variance wasn't approved? Just so it's reflected in the record.
And I'll, make a motion to approve the minutes of June 11th, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. And the last agenda item is a motion to adjourn the meeting of July 9th, 2025.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Breland. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Did you?
Aye. Aye.
Meeting adjourned.